Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. So yes, like Melissa said, this is a collaborative community building night. I know it's a bit of a departure from some of the other YYC Disc Golf TV series that we've had going on recently, but I did not want to be the one to speak for women's disc golf in Calgary. This is something that we all love and we all want to grow, so I want everybody to be as involved as they would like to. Just to kind of start things off a little bit, there is a women's league coming this year. Thank you, Brenda, for chatting with me yesterday. I know that you and Jody have both put in a ton of effort in previous years, so hopefully we can get a good turnout and get that going. It will be Wednesday nights, so keep it in the middle of the week, and hopefully it will be at the Curry Disc Golf Park once that opens. And if not, we will be sticking to Forest Lawn for its central location and ease of play. So with that, I will turn it over to Stephanie. I'll let her introduce herself and see what she has to say for tonight.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Steph McLeod. I've been playing for about 4 years and with guys, all really, really awesome guys. But when I got involved in the community just recently, I realized that I have an 8-year-old who's gonna need some place to play someday. She's a little girl and I want to help build something cool, someplace where she can go. But I have no idea how to do that. So that's why I'm here to I can't wait to hear everybody's ideas and thoughts about what that might look like for us.
That is awesome. So I will kick it off with my first question to the group. Hopefully we get some feedback and not too many crickets, but I work in health and safety, so I'm used to it. My first question to the group is, where do you see women's disc golf going in Calgary?
Yeah, I know that we all know that there's a huge amount of women out there now. A great influx of people that came in over the last year. A lot of them were ultimate players, that came to start playing disc golf because their leagues were canceled, for what they loved, and this was a substitute, which I think they soon realized was a great sport. The biggest thing that we struggle with is trying to get the women involved. I'm not sure whether it's because women are afraid that it might get competitive. There's some negative, sometimes, comments can be negative. We've lost people from those things. So we really need to somehow build a community where all the women feel supported, and they want to come out to whatever events, how we put it on. When I talked to Pat the other night regarding the league, when they called me about it, and we're very lucky, they gave me the option of first over every other league of what we wanted. And I said, I want it middle of the week on a Wednesday. It kind of works better for everybody in their schedules. I don't want Thursday because people got things to do on the weekend. And so Thursday nights, they're busy. So we got the pick of it, and we get Curry Reservoir when it opens. If it's open the beginning of June, we're in there the first Wednesday of June. If not, then we move to Forest Lawn until we can get into Curry Barracks. So that was really important. So it's how are we going to get the women to come out? I don't want even the league to be competitive. I like the format that the Tuesday night league was set up, because it's all on averages and you're trying to beat your own average every week. And I know we can get the support from that Tuesday night league to give us all the stuff that we need to do that. But it's even if you look at this, I sent my, I think Amber seen my request. I sent the meeting invite out to every person in my Facebook book group that played disc golf, every woman, right? And didn't get a lot of response. So there's a lack of commitment somehow there. I don't know how we can get more involved. So hopefully people have other ideas. We've tried every year to get a league going. you know, and it starts out good for the first few weeks. And then, you know, and my sister can attest to it, you know, the last time that we had set days and set everything, literally there was 3 people that showed up, and it was my sister, me, and one other girl. Right. And that was it. And we showed up every Wednesday and we posted it. We had everything. We invited people. Right. And, you know, by the end of it, it just, you know, the interest wasn't there. And that was only playing for fun. We weren't even officially a league where we had scorecards and stuff. We were just girls getting together. So.
Well, I think that's where we start, is girls getting together to have fun. Because the thing I love about disc golf is I'm the least competitive person in the world, unless I'm competing with myself. So that is a fantastic place to start. But that's what gets people hooked. And I think right now that lack of interest that you're talking about might be less noticeable, because there's been such an influx into the community, as in terms of people who will come and play because it was the only thing they could do during COVID. It's grown like 3 times in less than a year. And that might be, we might have the crowd then, right? There are people out there. We just have to get the word out that this is something we want to do. Start having the events, and it'll go from like 3 to 13 to 300 or whatever the goal is. I don't know, but I do think that pool got bigger for us over the last year.
It sure did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's really exciting, because those people are there. There are women that I see more women on the course lately than I ever have. I've only played for 4 years, but still in the last few months, I've seen way more. So there's more of us. I think James is asking a question here. What specifically can we do to get young girls started in the game? Make their moms play right now would be my first suggestion, because that's how mine got started.
we did do once with the Girl Guides.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
And I think they did that. Did we do that 2 years, Brenda, or just 1 year?
2 years. 2 years we 2 years we worked with the Girl Guides. They actually had it as a badge, and so a bunch of us got. Yeah, it's a badge. We all got one for cheering. Right, it's the coolest badge in the world, right? But we did, and you know, and we gave them. We collected a bunch of discs and actually gave them to the Girl Guides, so they had them at where the troop leader places were, where they could check them out with their troops and take them disc golfing. And stuff. And then, you know, and then I think last year it just kind of fell from the wayside, but that's certainly easy enough to, if things get better in the summer, to look again. I mean, I still have the contact with the person that it was. And
what
stuff.
about
but
like day camps? Like my kid's always been in day camps through the city sometimes, or through private organizations. That would get both genders out, but that's still a win, I think, in everyone's books.
Yeah, it's a win. It's getting into those, you know,
it's such an inexpensive activity, and those camps love stuff like that. So maybe we could reach out to those kinds of people.
Yeah, and you know, and
your junior organization, they might be able to also help with day camps, right? Because that might be there, like you said, it's both boys and girls. So that might be your other route for that. I just want to mention that in the past, to start with, we usually do start really good. And what brings out some of the people, the women, is we have a free clinic. And those have always really been really well received. And you get some of the guys, that, you know, they come out and give their time. And I can't remember. I'm not really good with names as far as all the famous players, but we had a couple pros come through once. Brenda, remember that?
Yeah, Nicoletta.
Oh my God, that was like the best, having a pro woman at our little clinic, and she was amazing. So I think that I really think that that's how you need to start off your year, is with a clinic to get some women out.
Absolutely. And I do have a conversation later this week with Eugene and Rob. They are really interested in putting on a clinic for women to help us kick off the season. But I don't want to stop with just one. I want to hold several clinics throughout the season so that we can catch people, you know, as their plans change, or as they get a little bit more exposure to the sport. I know that not everybody is going to be super comfortable jumping into a clinic right away. They might want to get out, play a few rounds, you know, see where they feel like they're struggling and then go to a clinic. But we have a ton of support from the guys that are really open to teaching. And I know I'm not the best player, but Mark Oxer is also putting on some Train the Trainer courses, and I intend to take part so that I can also help out with the clinics, because sometimes it's nice to get a woman's perspective. We throw differently, and that is a fact.
Word. That's cool. I love that. Those intermittent clinics throughout like the throwing season would be wonderful. With that, you would attract a lot of people, I think, who are like dabbling. Because if I had known about all of that kind of stuff the first 2 years I was playing, then I would have, right? So getting the word out about all of that stuff is the key, because that's what gets people hooked.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have another question from James. James, thank you for continuing to ask questions and keeping the conversation.
He scared away the crickets. We love you,
James. So James's next question was, how do you see the way women enjoying and participating in disc golf differs from men, and particularly the balance between social and competition? So from my perspective anyway, and I would like to hear from the rest of the ladies involved and some of the men on the call if they want to join in, I see it as a lot more of a casual thing for women. It's more to get out, meet people, make friends, and just enjoy doing something outside. And that level of competition is not there. Whereas with the men, they have multiple competitive groups within the city, from some of the leagues to the River Dogs group. And even the way that Brian and John set up the Glow League, they compete for the #1 tag. So it's similar to Thursday night tags in the summer. Whereas with the women, we like to get out, enjoy ourselves, have some fun. But I don't know how many of us actually care about who has the #1 tag.
None.
I would agree. But also too, I think that competition does bring an additional layer of drive behind a player. So not to by any means besmirch the casual like get together rounds, because I'm definitely all for that. But I can definitely say that as someone that's participated in a fair amount of competitive events, it has driven me to become a better player. So if you're at a beginner level player, I think the group aspect where you're getting to know people and you're getting to learn the game is great. But eventually our community will grow, and eventually the players will start to advance beyond the point where just casual rounds may not be satisfying enough anymore. And you may need to consider down the road to introduce some levels of competition, whatever that may look like, I don't know, for people that would be interested in it down the road. But I do agree that I think the competition versus socialization is kind of the key topic between female and male players. And it's not to say that males don't enjoy the socialization aspect of it, but I do think that it's more of a key part of our game versus theirs.
Mm-hmm. I think another good clinic would be to have something regarding tournaments. You know, a lot of people show up to a tournament for the first time and they have no idea they've been out playing, you know, maybe some league rounds or their casual rounds and things like that. And, you know, and they show up for a tournament the first time and they've had no etiquette training or nothing like that. And we lose Amber. Yeah. And, you know, and we lose girls due to this because, you know, there can be people out there that unfortunately, you know, whether bitter's a good word or, you know, they want to be the league, you know, the round cop or whoever they want to be, but they do you know, they do demoralize the people that are playing, you know, to the point where they don't want to come back to the tournament because these people haven't been nice to them while they're playing their, you know, their rounds. So, you know, I think that if we could have some kind of a clinic for the people the first time and, you know, explain the basic rules and, you know, what's different. You know, you can't just touch the basket with your disc and walk away. You know, you have to drop it in the basket, and how to use a marker, because 9 times out of 10, we don't use them in regular. We just pick our disc up and throw it, right?
I would take that clinic 100,000%. And the only reason I've never done a tournament is because there's never been that clinic. So I think that's a wonderful idea.
I think it would help. And I know, Amber, I think you could, you're like, you right away.
Confidence. Like
I learned that one the hard way.
Oh.
Yeah, it's intimidating, right? And you know, we all have tournament play and right. So it's part of it growing up, right? Like you say, like Jody says, growing into the sport, right? I mean, we're at the point now where, I mean, right, we're both whining. Jody and I are very sad because we should be going to Vegas in 3 days to the Vegas tournament. And we're this is the first time in several years we haven't been there.
Yes. Oh.
So we're both very sad, right? And that tournament is huge, right? Like there's 500 amateurs, you know, and 300 or 200 pros, right? So it's a huge tournament, you know, played on 3 courses at one place, and it's, but you know, and were we intimidated the first year? Darn right, right? Like just graduating into something like that, right? So I fully can feel how people going into a tournament the first time feel. So I'd love to try and arrange something like that for people to gain that confidence.
Not even just tournament play etiquette, but etiquette in general for the course. Having been out over the winter, you know, late last summer, and seeing the new volumes of people coming in, and this is not directed at one specific gender by any means, but with so many new people out on the course and people not understanding the basic etiquette of the game, I saw a lot of anger and a lot of frustrations coming through that were completely unnecessary had there been some level of awareness on all parties' abilities to, you know, understand just some of the basics of being out on a course, like keep your head up. That's, you know, that's something very simple that, well, we all go, yes, of course, that's obviously something you should be doing. It may not be completely obvious to a new player. So I think there's 2 aspects to that etiquette side of things, that there's the tournament, the competition, the even during league nights when you're playing with mixed groups where you're going to see a little bit more of that versus just the basic etiquette. I think that would also bring some level of comfortability to people. Like you said, Steph, if you would have known that, you would have possibly joined in some events previously. And I know it's a thing that has kept probably several people away from the sport.
The intimidation factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Another thing that's happening is that our area's global event, women's global event, which is on May 8th, is in Red Deer, right? So I really believe that we should be looking at promoting that as soon as we get the information. It'll be held at the Sylvan Lake disc golf course, and try and get as many even local people registered as we can to go up there. You know, it would be really cool to see if we could fill that tournament up with mostly women. You know, it would be incredible, I think, if we could get a bunch of women to fill that tournament. But that's already booked. I believe it's actually already on Disc Golf Scene, even though we haven't opened anything. We just wanted it out there so people could see it. But there won't be one. It was awarded to Red Deer this year, so it kind of moves around.
And
that's cool. That's a great opportunity to bring people in. We have a question from Kelly. Would there be an opportunity to integrate an educational element, skill development component every month prior to the start of play to entice people to come back consistently to play in the league? I think that's a fabulous idea. Like, do it every time. Be like, learn something cool and then try it out for, you know, like that would be the way to go. For sure. Great idea, Kelly.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a wonderful idea. I think to start, we may have to start a little bit slow and do it with some more online type options, just with weather and some COVID protocols. But I think as soon as it's, nice and we can gather in larger groups outside, this is absolutely something that we could work into our season this year. All right. This is carried on quite well. I'm really happy. I do have a second question for the group since it's slowed down a little bit. If I go back through my notes, going back to kind of that competitive factor, would there be any interest in, this group, or those of you who are watching after, you can reach out to Stephanie or myself, in having something more competitive for women, kicking off a women's group similar to River Dogs? Is there any kind of appetite for that in the community right now, or is that something that maybe
Can you explain River Dogs a little bit?
So River Dogs is a group that is not technically part of the Calgary Disc Golf Club. They are a smaller group of men who are invite only, and they have their own tag system and they compete.
I think that would be a cool idea, just because I do, like most women, I do find myself playing against just men where it's like, for me, like I always want to do better and there's always a chance I might beat them, but it's really why bother kind of having a tag, right? Because like 9 times out of 10 I'm probably like the ratio is higher, but like I'm probably not going to beat them. So a women's group would be really cool, and still kind of have like a tag system, or maybe just start it off really similar to league night, where it's kind of just like beat your own score, watch yourself improve. That's always a really cool way to kind of just like get really competitive with yourself first, and then move towards kind of like a tag system.
Yeah, and that is the goal for our women's league this year, is to have it set up so you are competing against your own average and you're always trying to get better by beating yourself.
And there could be lots of options once the league gets rolling, and they could be discussed, because in the first 3 weeks we won't have rolling averages yet, right? But a thing of, everybody hand in their tags or whatever, and at the end of the night, and then the next week they get assigned out to what number you get or something, or something like that, depending on who had the best improvement or something like that. There's, there are ways we could certainly do it. I don't know if there's enough women to get involved in a secondary competitive field. I personally feel that the people that want to be competitive are the leaders that we need to try and help coach the newer players and be there on league nights, so that they can be set up in groups where there's always an experienced player to go with the new players, and give those coaching opportunities. But once we
start having something more casual, this first year can be casual, with the intention of having a women's league tag system. When we have enough people to play women's tags, I think that's an awesome goal.
Kat, you mentioned earlier about Mark Oxer doing a Train the Trainer.
Yeah.
What is that about?
I don't have all of the details, but I know that he intended to put something on for those of us who are looking to help train newer disc golfers and help teach them some of the skills for disc golf. I haven't gotten the details from Mark. I know James is on the call. James, if you have more that you can add to that, I would be thankful for it, just because I don't have all the details, but I can definitely reach out to Mark and get some more information and share it after this call.
Oh, Neil was saying the system of, I think he said the system has proven effective for many years of growing talent. And I think he was saying that at the point where we were saying playing against yourself and doing that system to start out with would be a way to boost people's confidence and grow the talent, so that we have those trainers.
Well, and then we can really work on, having a year-end celebration where you're celebrating, what people's goals were, and, and how people did. I when we was talking to Kat, I really don't want to make it very expensive. I said, if we only charge like $5 a night, at least it would give us some money to put into some type of prizes. It's certainly, the more people that sign up for the league, well, of course, then the more money weekly we would have, where we could have, little prizes or whatever. But really look at having a year-end celebration where, there's lots of prizes, and we can have door prizes and award prizes for, how people progress through the year and things like that. But make it inexpensive. So, if we're going for 12 weeks, it's only $60 that people need to put out to cover for all 12 weeks, right? And then we have some type of a wrap up in September for the whole group, and have money. We could do a closest to the pin thing, an A spot, and things like that. Women, getting an ace is a pretty big thing, and I don't know how many in our group have even had one. Right. I've been playing for 5 years and can say no. Right. So, us having an ace pot like they do in regular leagues is probably not worthwhile, but we certainly could have a closest to the pin thing at the end of the year where, X amount of money, whoever gets closest is going to get that money that might have gone into it. Right. And it's looking at trying to get some sponsors. I have full intentions of hitting up all 3 stores, as I was saying to Kat. Now with the new registration system, when we get it open and everybody can register, we're almost there. We had to come up, we get a privacy policy in and a waiver in, which we needed to get legal advice on and get it in. So it kind of stalled everything while we were doing that. But the new registration system, once that people can go in and sign, and once you're registered, you can actually print off a card, right? A membership card. So I really want to approach the stores and see, like, if you go in with your membership card and your ID and prove it's you, will you give the women a 5% discount or something if they're buying discs or anything, anything, switching gears, like if you're going in there and buying socks, like, will you give some kind of a discount? So, but at least now we have a way to prove that you belong to the club, where we can track that. Whereas before, it was pretty tough to hand anything out, but that card's there to be printed for anybody, and then once we get closer to knowing what Curry Barracks is seeing whether we can get some local in that kind of Curry Reservoir area businesses that might be looking at sponsoring and things like that. Right. So, lots that we can do to try and get a lot of momentum, even if we don't have a lot of money, try and get some sponsorship so we can, it'd be really nice to be able to award a couple of things every league night, whether we make them crazy, silly things as to, who missed the closest pot or, thing, it doesn't
I love
that.
I am winning that. I can throw distance for miles, but closest pot, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, but
I want to win a prize.
It doesn't always have to be who got the longest drive or, or who had the longest putt, right? We could certainly come up with all kinds of ideas to switch it up, right? And stuff like that. So there's a lot of opportunity to make it really fun, not competitive, and try and support everybody in other ways, right? So
think we might be running out of time for this evening.
Well, that went fast.
We could chat about this forever, but we can probably take some of these conversations offline and get back together in a slightly less formal and not recorded setting and these conversations and get everything well planned out before the start of the year, for sure.